Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of CEO and Market Expert Interviews. I'm your host, Lucian. Some of you know me as Triangle Investor from X. Today, my guest is Duane Parnham, Chief Executive Officer for Madison Metals, a uranium exploration company with assets in Namibia. The company is trading on CSE under the symbol GREN, GREN, and on OTCQB under the symbol MMTLF. Duane, welcome to my show, and thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I would like to start with you and your origin story. Tell us more, who is Duane Parnham and how and when your uranium path began?
Well, I graduated from Fleming College in '85, and I've been consistently in the resource business. My forte is really looking at undervalued assets, providing managerial, technical, and financial expertise, upgrade those assets either privately or majority of my projects have been public, and then find an exit strategy for our shareholders. So we've done this now for 30 years or more, created about $1.2, $1.3 billion of shareholder value executing on this strategy. And recently now with uranium, I first got started in 2006. I was the founder of Forces Metals. It's still a publicly traded company with a licensed uranium mine. I basically was the primary manager that got the license for them back in 2006 or 7 or so. So that was my real start, and I've been in Namibia working uranium and various other commodities for about 24 years now. So Madison Metals is the latest, greatest project of ours located in Namibia.
Okay. You have projects in the proximity of Rossing and Husab uranium mines in Namibia. Can you give us an overview of the projects and what are you currently doing over there?
Yeah, so I mean, this is an opportunity for those that have paid their dues in Namibia, because as I mentioned to you earlier, there was a moratorium from 2007 to 2017 where uranium exploration was more or less banned. So companies that own concessions in Namibia during those time, with low metal prices, difficulty in raising capital, a lot of those projects were handed back to government. And only over the last few years, they've been redistributed because now the moratorium has been lifted. And some of these projects, like our EPL 8531, has had historical drilling and has a historical resource on it. We've done some work on that project. We haven't drilled just yet, although we've plan to, and we know that that deposit is open in all directions, and it's a moderately good grade in today's economic forum. More exciting though, recently is we acquired a 90% interest in a mining license called ML86, the Con copper mine, and in particular, this license was issued for copper mining. So no uranium exploration, although they've known uranium was present because it's in the tailings and a little bit of the copper ore shows uranium presence. It was never explored for uranium. So now with Rossing looking for new ore, looking for mine expansion, I felt that it was very, very interesting to take a look at the Con from a uranium perspective and exploration perspective. So we've now found some of the highest grade uranium on the Con, 8.2% U3O8 in a leucogranite vein. And now we've also mapped a very large area of what we're calling two existing leucogranite plugs that carry very good grade. And we've just commenced a drill program, announced the first discovery hole on one of those southern plugs. We're basically tackling drilling from the south, heading north to the higher grade material just because of access of the drill. But we've already intercepted a very, very good discovery hole that we'll be making further announcements on.
Okay, I was reading your press releases, and in one of them, I saw 1.36 percent U3O8 at 45 meters. That is really spectacular result for Namibia, I mean. And if my memory serves me well, Namibian grades are much lower. Rossing has average grade around 0.03 or 0.04, I think. Husab mine has a little bit higher. It's a larger scale operation, and it's around 0.05, I believe. So my question is, how is possible to find grades above 1%, as you announced recently? What is the geological explanation for this discovery?
Yeah, it's a really good point, because comparing the average mining grades to sort of the exploration results is important to understand the significance of these discoveries. So kudos to you for identifying that. Yeah, so what's happened at Rossing geologically, it's a leucogranite along a contact of what we're calling the Con Formation and the Rossing Formation. And in areas along this contact, you have two existing uranium operating mines, Rossing and the Husef, as you correctly pointed out. We followed that contact from Rossing onto Con, and we found another area where there's probably a lot of displacement or faulting, but what this has created is an environment where there's enriched zones, maybe 3, 4, 5 pulses of leucogranite materials coming into this contact zone, and we're finding enriched uranium. Okay, uranium product staining. I've showed some pictures on our website, on our press releases and such. And when you get uranophane and these uranium minerals that are precipitating out, these are enriched zones that in particular give us these higher grade sections. Now, at Rossing, 40% of the mined ore is from enrichment zones. So we think that we've got another one of these periodicity kind of spots where you've got an area of highly enriched zones. So that's very exciting for us. And that's what's giving us these higher grade intercepts.
Okay, you are mentioning enriched zones. What size are we talking? What is the size?
Well,
of
we
that
kind of
zone?
gave you an indication in the press release because we don't have all the results out, and we only have spectrometer readings. But we basically got 1% at the top of the zone and a 1% at the bottom of the zone. So about 100 meters or more, and you got varying degrees of concentration within that zone. So we're in the process of having those analyzed right now by geoprobe and by chemical analysis. So it'll take another couple of weeks to get those. But this first discovery hole, basically 100 meters or so, it'll get blended down. Like it won't be the whole assay across that zone because, the way the leucogranites are, they're not consistent. It's not a geological environment that just gives you one big blob of one grade stuff. It's going to vary, but I've always maintained that when we're finding these enriched zones with such high grade at surface, it's a great starting point. Because if we were only getting a couple hundred ppm at surface, and then you start drilling and blending, you're gonna have a much lower grade deposit in the end. So what excites us and the people watching our progress is that when we're finding these enriched, extremely high grade sections, that's going to add hopefully overall to a higher grade blended product. When we look at this from a mining perspective.
Yeah, I got that part step by step, of course. But what are your next steps over here? How many meters do you plan to drill in the next drilling campaign?
Yeah, so we're going to drill a little over 1,000 meters. The objective of this first project is just to confirm that we've found leucogranites at depth. Okay. We're not at the resource definition stage or such, because these are actually pretty complex, even though it seems real easy, but these leucogranites do have a plunge of fold, and understanding what's going on three-dimensionally in the subsurface, we need to figure that out. So this program, 1,000, maybe 1,500 meters, is really designed just to see, yes, these trenches where we're getting high grade, these leucogranites are extending at depth. And this discovery hole shows that. If you already have high grade material at about 145 meters, let's say vertical, that's the start of a very, very interesting resource. So we need to follow that up with a lot more drilling just to really understand what's going on in the subsurface.
Yeah, when do you expect to start and when do you expect to finish?
Well, we're on it now. Like the drills are spinning right now. We've done about 6 or 7 holes so far in various areas of where we've mapped just to do this initial testing. So we're having that data analyzed as we speak. We're having these whole geoprobe with a device that basically measures the radioactivity response, down the hole. And then we're having, because we did RC drilling, what's produced is a chip. So we have these chips, and we view them, map them, put the scintillometer and the spectrometer on them, get a reading, and then we'll have those chips sent off to the lab for chemical analysis. So all of these data points give us, confidence that whatever grade we're announcing to the public or the grade that we're putting into the geological model, is verified and has a proper QA/QC protocol attached to it.
Okay, like you said, you are 25 years in uranium, and you saw probably a lot of drilling holes, drilling deposits, etc. So would you say this is one of a kind?
It's an amazing start, I gotta admit. I mean, I've drilled probably 1,400 holes or so at Valencia, two deposits with Dr. Lane and I, sorry. So we've seen quite a bit of stuff, and we're very excited. We're very encouraged, and this is truly a new discovery in an area that hasn't been looked. It's believe it or not, I don't think anyone's seen it because it's in kind of the mountainous terrain. It's not easy access, so we have some logistics issues of getting drills and stuff in the right spots, but that's all part of a new discovery, and we're already building roads and having access cleared so we can get systematically to the right spots and drills. So it's the beginning of a discovery, and we're very, very encouraged and very excited about the results that are coming so far.
Okay, so in the upcoming period, we can expect some news flow, let's say in the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely, yeah. I kind of have a bit of a promoting background. I get criticized from time to time, but I mean, it's part of the game. But also, if we're not excited and encouraged, then how do you attract investors to be excited and encouraged? And particularly the dynamics of today's environment is changing. It's a lot harder today than I remember doing forces back in 2006, even though 2008 was a challenge year for everything. There's the dynamics of trying to attract investors is always changing, and we're doing what we think is right, keeping some confidence and keeping some quality to what we're trying to deliver in our product. The fact that we've been working this long in Namibia, we know the landscape, and we have a new discovery. I think that's exciting in itself. And we only have a 10 million market cap, so a company just getting started with a very good share structure. Duane Parnham, myself, is a big buyer of the stock. You can look at the insider report. Some others inside our company, insiders are also purchasing shares. So I just think it's a matter of time where confidence comes and then things just take off. And I think we're very close to that inflection point.
Okay, you mentioned skin in the game, and that's for me very important metric. How much shares do you own and your team in the company?
Well, I'm personally 3.1 million shares. So I'm just we did a financing, so I'm around 12% or so of ownership of the outstanding shares, and I just bought some recently during this campaign, and I'll buy from time to time when I feel it's right. Right now, I'm probably going to be entering into a lockup period because of the news that come on the assays and such. But yeah, we're probably 22-25% ownership, insiders, family, friends, and such. And then, we don't have big institutional holdings. That's kind of the next phase as these assays come out and confidence that we have a real deposit. We've got an audience 6 kilometers away. We've had some very preliminary discussions. We know that we can get a tolling agreement if all conditions are met. So that's going to eliminate our capital costs. And we were asking me earlier about some of the others in Namibia, and I think some of the issues are going to be the extreme costs of building a new facility, getting water, getting the infrastructure, but we're sitting right there beside an existing processing plant. So I think it just makes sense that if we can come up with 10 million pounds minimum right now, we can get a tolling agreement. We have a very low capital startup cost, and then we don't make as much money, let's say, but we can hit this window, I think, appropriately in getting product to the mill and start generating some cash flow for the company. I think that's a pretty exciting goal that we can meet in the next year.
Duane, you mentioned infrastructure. I want to go back to the infrastructure. So what was built so far when it comes to infrastructure, and what do you plan to build next? And how much money was spent on the infrastructure around the properties?
So we're fortunate because even EPL 8531 is actually divided by the highway. So we have a resource of 9 million pounds or so. It's split by the highway. So if we had moved the highway, I can actually double the resource right away.
Mhm.
So you've got a paved highway right through one deposit. In Con, it was an old copper mine. So we have roads right from the paved highway right to where we're drilling right now. We literally have roads already established and they've been used. Then step back and you can see we have power, we have water, we have two processing facilities for uranium, we have a labor market. You know, all of this stuff is already established. So my idea here is, and we've done a little internal cash flow model, because I like to build these things backwards. I really like to know, can we get to a point where it's feasible and we can execute on a plan? So I kind of got an idea of that plan. So I built a financial model backwards. And if we can put together 10 million pounds, which is not hard to do when you get, you know, decent grades like this,
Yeah.
we can mine a million pounds a year, let's say, from a tolling, and that gives us really good cash flow over a 10-year period. So what I'm saying is that all that infrastructure is there because there's two processing facilities with all of this infrastructure already in place. I don't have to fund any of that.
Okay.
The only thing Madison really needs to fund are the technical aspects of putting a mine plan together. I can then contract that mine plan to a third party. They can go in and they can drill, blast, and truck the material to the processing facility. So our capital cost to do this is very low, like $20 to $40 million, let's say. So that's really, really achievable to put this thing into production.
Mhm.
We have some work to get there, and we're doing that now by drilling and then putting our resource statement together. That's really what we need to focus on the short term, medium term, put a mining plan together, get the tolling agreements with the processing facilities, and then, you know, and then start that, begin that production scenario. Yeah.
Mhm.
In the next
Mhm.
18 months to 2 years would be, you know, pretty achievable.
Okay. Let's discuss other company developments. U308 token development, so to say. The idea was to attach your in-ground verified uranium resources to a stable token backed by cryptocurrency, as I remember correctly. What is the plan here going forward, Duane, with this?
Yeah, so I've had two chances at this, and typically what I thought was really, really interesting about this strategy and what the real innovation was is using our expertise at Madison, Dr. Lane, myself, and our team, using our projects within the ground resources verified by third party to back a token that could be sold right when uranium, you know, was starting to take off. So when we started this initiative, uranium was trading around $35 a pound, you know, and then we're up around 90 or probably just a little under 90 right now.
Yeah.
So we had a really good opportunity to attract those investors in the cryptocurrency space. But you must remember, we're not, as a mining company, we only provide the resource. We don't provide the technology or the development and all that. So we have a forward sales agreement with a Bahamian bank, let's call it, and then they manage the token side. So we don't really have a lot of involvement in what happens with the tokens, how it's sold, how it's marketed, and all of this stuff. I got to give a lot of credit to them though on Uranium 308 because they put together a very good project. They developed a token and listed the token. The only problem that we see right now is that the token is not trading very fluent. It's trading below our floor price that we would be willing to sell the uranium to. So it's kind of in a stalemate right now, and we have to make a decision whether, you know, we want to tie up our resources in something that's not producing return for us. So we're evaluating that right now, and we'll probably have announcement on that very shortly.
Okay. You also announced at the beginning of the year an update for the uranium forward sales agreement with SanMiguel Capital Investment. That is a financial company firm from Bahamas. How is that business relationship going, and can you describe what is the rationale for that?
Yeah, so that was all part of what I was just talking about is we would use our in-the-ground resources to back a stable token using a forward sales agreement. So we're at arm's length. We have nothing to do. SanMiguel is a third party. They would manage the financial aspects. And so what I was getting at is another group that they work with have developed the token, listed the token, and marketed the token. It's got nothing to do with Madison, other than we have an anticipation that we'd want to sell so much uranium to SanMiguel, based on the investor interest on purchasing tokens. To date, we've only sold pre-sale. We've only sold about $145,000 worth of tokens, exposing Madison to about 2,130 pounds of uranium, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So under the redemption protocols, whether those get redeemed or they stay as a token is really SanMiguel's side of the business. All we're doing at Madison is providing the backstop and providing the product through that third-party verification. So we don't really, we don't have anything to do with how the token trades, who's trading it, where it's trading, or any of the marketing of that. All we're doing is hoping we can sell uranium through this mechanism that's set up. And those uranium sales have been going extremely slow. And that's a little bit of a frustrating part for us.
Okay, but you agree there was a period of some negative publicity about your companies, specifically tokens. I mean, you have stated that those actions were taken by the individuals involved in shorting your stock. Do you believe that is the case back then? That was a case back then, and how did you resolve that?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of really, really nasty things said and accusations made against me. Like I'm Madison Metals. I have projects in Namibia. We're doing our work to upgrade and get those projects into production. That's what I do, and that's what I've done all my life. Mm-hmm. I'm not involved in the tokenization side, other than I thought it was a really good initiative to be part of a process through SanMiguel, third parties, completely arm's length to us. So it's been very negative. Now, you can accuse people of doing things, but it's not always true. And when people get that aggressive, then obviously there's a motive. And so our stock has been shorted nakedly. I think it's been shorted again even last week. But that's just part of the whole business these days. It just seems that these algo programs and, alternative agendas come into play. I don't concern myself with that, because that's just the natural part of the business. Where I think I can deliver value and make my shareholders money is what I've been doing for 30 years. And that is stick to the fundamentals. The fundamentals are Namibia is a great spot for uranium. We have great projects. We own majority interest in those. We have some capital to advance those projects. We've got a very tight share structure that I've done for every project that I've started. And we're just going to stick to fundamentals, and the value is going to be built based on those fundamentals. The initiative with the token was really interesting because it could have provided another way for us to raise some capital to execute on our business plan. It didn't work out. You just got to say, hey, evaluate it and go, okay, what's the next move? So that's what we're doing with the token right now.
Okay. Duane, how is the company current cash position? You did a raise in April, I believe. So what is the current situation with cash?
Yeah, so we've raised a little bit of cash, excuse me, but I really think that what we've done with a very, very low budget is exceptional. So making a discovery for under $200,000, let's say, is an amazing feat. And we've got to congratulate our geological team, our managerial team, and our investors. So we've been spending very little money on the ground, but the money that we're spending is giving us very high returns. Mm-hmm. So we did raise a little bit of capital through the life exemptions. That means that those shares are free trading on issuance to attract, a higher value investor, and we've done that. And we've spent some money. So we're running at about $400,000 to $500,000 in the treasury right now. But now the next phase is we have about $2.2 million in warrants that we're now starting to, with the news that we've made on the discovery, get out and do a little more marketing. And I'm looking at trying to get those warrants exercised to bring that capital in. It's already in our share structure. We're just about 40 million shares fully diluted with that 2.2 million of extra money coming in. And I'm also evaluating some other financing opportunities, because with a discovery comes more work, which means, you know, more money. So yeah, we're always looking for some capital, but my strategy has always been, you know, manage your dilution of your company, use your capital wisely, execute on your business plan, and then that value is going to come. And that's where I say we're very close to breaking out of this 10 million market cap to something very, very exceptional. So yeah, it's been you know, organizing and managing these things sometimes is a very challenge, and
Of course.
it has been for me. But boy, it's exciting when you make a discovery and things start happening. So that's where we're sitting right now.
Okay, you mentioned marketing. How are you approaching your marketing strategy? How can you tell the story better? You recently engaged one group, I believe, from Toronto to help you with that. Tell us more about the strategy and the services that this company will provide for you.
We kind of tried a few. We don't see the returns. We kind of move on. So right now, Primoris is our primary group that I've worked with probably for 10 years or more. When Madison was listed, Primoris was also with me at Broadway Gold. So they already have our shareholder base. They have an incredible ability to get us into magazines, some very high quality magazines. So that's kind of the underlying base of getting this story out in a very credible way. On top of that, we have a social media platform. So we're out on social media. We keep, you know, LinkedIn and X and all these other Reddit and all that stuff. So we keep, you know, giving that some information and keep energizing our social media. And then we just hired Market One as part of this latest round of financing. Then Market One is kind of a group that I think is going to tie all of these initiatives together. And then once again, you know, get the most benefit out of our outreach and our social media, get it onto banners, get it onto other websites, and start creating a broader distribution of the story. And as the story itself starts building value, meaning the new discovery, moving this from a pure exploration play into more of a development play, you know, in a timely manner, I think the quality of that news will start growing and start spreading, and our outreach will start getting much better. So look, we just take it one step at a time. We're not going to throw out millions of dollars in marketing and have an instant success and then have the share price crash. We got to do this step by step, gradually grow a very strong shareholder base, a very loyal shareholder base, and I think that then the value will come into the stock.
Yeah, and how are your G&A numbers? What is your, let's say, what's your cash burn, monthly cash burn, if you know the number?
We're running at about $100,000 to $105,000 Canadian per month. That's, you know, legals, listings, salaries myself, and our marketing initiatives and stuff. So yeah, we're about 100,000 Canadian a month in our G&A.
Okay, I was looking for your 2023 filings, yearly financial statement, and couldn't find one. When do you plan to publish those?
We're current. We're 100% current. I can send them out. They're on our website. We just released our audited financial statements and also the first quarter. Our year end is November, so we're not a calendar year end. We're just 2 months before. But yeah, we're 100% currently filed on all our financial statements.
Okay, Duane, we didn't discuss M&A. My question to you is, are you open for M&A? I mean, to buy land, maybe your company to buy more land, take more land. And the other part of the question, are you open for discuss? Are there any companies approaching you, asking around about your projects? What's the story around M&A with Madison?
There's only 2 ways I can answer that. One is look at my history.
Okay.
That speaks for itself. I have an incredible ability to find an exit strategy, and it generally is through M&A. I'm not so much, and I have to admit, I'm not so much a producing manager, meaning that projects and going into mine production and stuff is not really my forte. And if we did do that, then we would have to find, you know, a bigger group that has more expertise in the mining aspect of it. And then I can't speak obviously about details, but there's opportunities on all, and I'm open to all kinds of ways to build value.
Okay. My last question, how would you qualify doing business in Namibia? Tell us more. It's not all beautiful. There must be something that it's not so perfect in doing business in Namibia. Tell us what it is.
Well, I guess maybe I'm tainted because I've been there 24 years. I think Namibia, in a cliche ways, is Africa for beginners. Once you understand the people, you understand the country, and understand the opportunities there, the little negatives that we find in any country in the world. I'm from Canada. We're going through our own issues right now with leadership and such, but every country has its issues. I find Namibia very, very easy. If you want to become part of the community and, you know, integrate with communities instead of taking control, then you'll find that things move a lot smoother. And that's what I've done through my career, and that's what's maybe given me a little more success working Namibia, is that I treat Namibians as Namibians and as my strong partners. We have an excellent team of people there working on the ground on all levels, from government down to just the geotechnical people, and everyone works very, very efficiently, very, very open-minded, and it's just a real pleasure to work there. So yeah, any problems, we have to overcome those, of course, but I think the environment is very, very workable if you want to work with them. So that's the relationship we have, and I think we're still going to do great things there in the years to come. So I'm very excited about working with them.
Okay, you mentioned people. That is my last question. Please expand a bit on your team. Who is in your team? How many people do you have in your team?
Yeah, look, we're growing. So Roger and I have obviously a lot of years working with Forces Metals. Roger was there 6 years. I think I was a little bit more than that, because I brought Roger from Canada. He lived in Namibia with us for 6-7 years, and then retired, came back to Canada, and now we're reestablishing ourselves. So we have an office, we have a home there. We have probably about 6 or 7 staff right now, both administrative, financial, geologists, technicians, and then we subcontract. Like we subcontracted excavator, road works. We subcontract the drilling. We subcontract some of the geophysical, and then subcontract obviously the chemical analysis that none of us could do. So with a very, very talented team that we've all worked with before, have come back to work with us again, and then, you know, all of the services and stuff that we have available to us in Namibia, it's just going to keep growing. But we have a very, very solid team working on the ground right now. I'm pretty proud of those people.
Okay, that was Duane Parnham, Chief Executive Officer for Madison Metals. Duane, I wish you luck with your projects, and thank you for coming to my show.
It's a real pleasure, and I hope we can talk again soon.